Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we're now, I think, downstream.
We didn't float downstream.
No, we didn't float. I'm trying to think now.
Sharpsburg.
We might be actually upstream of the Potomac. I think this is the Potomac. And we're not in Sharpsburg. We're in a place called Shepherdstown.
Begins with S.
Begins with S. Could be any town anywhere named S.
Surrey.
On the river. Surrey, yeah. We're not in Surrey, no.
We're in Maryland.
We're in Maryland. Well, yeah, just barely. That side is West Virginia. This side is Maryland.
There you go.
So like that. Okay, but we're here in the sun. Well, a little bit in the shade to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. I was hoping it would download on my phone nicely, but it's not. So we're just going to read from the book.
All right. Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 14.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
All right, text 14. My dear great and powerful Lord Shiva, you were created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the Brahmanas in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and self-realization. As protector of the Brahmanas, you always protect the relative principles they follow. Just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. Purport. The specific function of a human being in society, irrespective of his social status, is to practice control of the mind and senses by observing the regulative principles enjoined in the Vedic Sastras. Lord Shiva is called Pashupati because he protects the living entities in their developed consciousness so that they may follow the Vedic system of Varna and Ashram. The word Pashu refers to the animal as well as to the human entity. It is stated here that Lord Shiva is always interested in protecting the animals and animalistic living entities who are not very advanced in the spiritual sense. It is also stated that the Brahmanas are produced from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. We should always remember that Lord Shiva is being addressed as the representative of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. In the Vedic literature, it is described that the Brahmanas are born from the mouth of the universal form of Vishnu. The Kshatriyas are born from his arms, the Vaishyas are born from his abdomen or waist, and the Shudras from his legs. In the formation of a body, the head is the principal factor. The Brahmanas are born from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to accept charity for worship of Vishnu and to spread Vedic knowledge. Lord Shiva is known as Pasupati, the protector of the Brahmanas and other living entities. He protects them from the attacks of non-Brahmanas or uncultured persons who are against the self-realization process. You know you can get it on your phone in the Veda.
Not the same. This is, I use the book, the actual iBook.
Right.
And I have notes and I can make notes and lots. It's okay. I'm fine. Are you fine?
We're all fine.
We're all fine. Just so everyone's clear, we're all fine here. The heat has no adverse effects on anyone's temperament or nature. Any thoughts, realizations since you read?
Yeah, Lord Shiva is protector of the Brahmanas.
So I thought the use of the word Pashu, which Prabhupada said refers to animals.
And humans.
And humans. But in general, there's a term called Dupada Pashu, which means two-legged animals. If Pashu referred to humans, then Pashu would need to have Dupada, which means two-pada, 2 foot or 2-legged animals. So humans who don't act like humans and act like animals are called Dupada Pashu, which means two-legged animals. So that's the way I always understood it. So it's interesting, maybe Prabhupada is referring to that principle, that it can mean an animal, but it could also refer to a human if it's dupada pashu. But then at the end it says Lord Shiva is known as Pashupati. So Pashu mentioned previous means that Pashupati means that he is the protector of the Brahmanas, but Pashu means animals, protector of the Brahmanas and other living entities. So somehow I'm feeling it'd be good to have more clarification on that. Let's see what Prabhupada says in the rest of the purport. Another feature of this word is that persons who are simply attached to the ritualistic portion of the Vedas and do not understand the situation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not any more advanced than animals. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is confirmed that even though one performs the rituals of the Vedas, if he does not develop a sense of Krishna consciousness, then all his labor in performing Vedic rituals is considered to be simply a waste of time. Lord Shiva's aim in destroying the Daksha Yajna was to punish Daksha, because by neglecting him, Lord Shiva, Daksha was committing a great offense. Lord Shiva's punishment was just like that of a cowherd boy who keeps a stick to frighten his animals. Well, okay. We're going to come back to that. It is commonly said that to give protection to animals, a stick is needed because animals cannot reason and argue. Their reasoning and argument is argumentum ad baculum. Unless there is a rod, they do not obey. Force is required for the animalistic class of men, whereas those who are advanced are convinced by reasons, arguments, and scriptural authority. Persons who are simply attached to Vedic rituals without further advancement of devotional service or Krishna consciousness are almost like animals. And Lord Shiva is in charge of giving them protection and sometimes punishing them as he punished Daksha. Now, in the verse, I thought it was interesting because I was even going to mention it when you read it, that, I understood generally you carry a stick as a cowherd boy because you might need to whack the cow a little bit, and I thought that was always probably could be conceived or misconstrued as being a little harsh or aggressive. But here, Prabhupada said, or the translation says, just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. Now, when we read that, I understood that meant that he had the stick in case some other animal came towards the cow and he could give it a whack or scare it away, like that. Now, at the end of this, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the stick is needed. He says, just like a cowherd boy who keeps a stick to frighten his animals. It is commonly said that to give protection to animals, a stick is needed because animals cannot reason and argue. So he's saying that to protect them, one might need to, drive them in a certain direction. So then the use of the stick is to, no, listen to me because I'm trying to protect you, and otherwise you won't listen and you'll get injured. So, whoosh, move your backside over that way. Is that kind of what you understand? Okay. Whether it is or not, we'll never know.
Only God knows. Text 15. I did not know your full glories. For this reason I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. Well, he did really, but I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectful personality. But you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. Purport. As usual, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a non-condition accept such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. Factually, the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. But Lord Shiva, being kind toward him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. King Daksha realized this and, feeling obliged for Lord Shiva's magnanimous behavior, wanted to show his gratitude. Sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment but mercy. Similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. That is a symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts a miserable condition to be the grace of the Lord. He thinks, I would have been punished or put into a more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds, but the Lord has protected me. Thus I have received only a little punishment as token execution of the law of karma.
Interesting.
Thinking of his grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously and is not disturbed by such so-called punishment.
Yeah. What are you going to say about that?
A lot,
Let me hear
but not for the vlog.
Vlog. Oh, is this a vlog?
But we're reading Krishna book daily with our Grihastha Menti group, and this point comes up. I forgot what the Brahmin's name was. The one who tests if...
Brigu.
Is this the same Brigu?
Yeah, the same Brigu.
Lord. Okay, Brigu Muni. So he tests who's most magnanimous. And Vishnu comes up trumps, surprisingly, amongst Lord Shiva and Brahma. But the point that I remembered from that reading in relation to this is how Prabhupada explains is if Krishna, like he puts you into conditions of so-called suffering, gives the example of Kunti and Parikshit Maharaj in the Krishna book, because it increases your, you're calling out to the Lord, it increases your surrender. There are other ways to do that, but
Maybe.
I think for me, if you just like moved your head in the DT form, if you came in a dream and said, Bhava Bhakti, you're a rock star or whatever, that's enough really. You don't need to take everything away, quite frankly. You don't need to set my house on fire, poison my kids, have my daughter-in-law disrobed. I'm all right, I get it.
Well, yeah. It's because you're a special soul, but
yeah.
Queen Kunti,
I get it
obviously
quicker.
is a little lower class. She needs to have all these things happen to her.
You don't need to tell me twice. Or even once.
Even once. Don't even need to tell her. That's what she tells me all the time. No need to even tell her.
But yeah, I'm also not feeling how Lord Shiva is, what he's done was magnanimous. I'm not saying he was wrong in terms of Daksha was...
She's definitely not saying what you did is wrong, Shiva.
No.
Please hear her.
Daksha was asking for it. And so were the other ones that got their teeth knocked out and their faces mashed up.
Eyes plucked out. Yeah.
So I'm not excusing that, but I'm not getting the merciful side when you put a goat's head on your father-in-law.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of goes to show how intense or extreme of an offense it is.
Yeah.
To not only offend Lord Shiva, of course.
Yeah.
But to offend a Vaishnava,
Yeah.
to offend a devotee of the Lord, then, quite nasty things can happen.
Actually, you just made me think of something. Yeah. So someone might say, yeah, because it's true. He's considered the greatest Vaishnava, he's Lord Shiva. So what an offense, you know, so many levels.
Right.
One could say he deserved to die. But actually, it's interesting. It was more of a punishment to bring him back with the goat's head, and what I thought of was, Rukmini's brother, who Krishna was going to kill. And Rukmini got all like, no, my brother, don't touch him. So then he still wanted to punish him, so he left a tuft of hair, didn't he? Because it's like, you know, it's like to humiliate, to embarrass him and go and buzz off, and then he went and lived in some little straw hut for the rest of his life. I think he did come back and fight him later. But so like that, it's like what Krishna says to Arjuna, that, you know, if you lose your reputation, it's greater than death, you know.
Worse than death.
Worse than death. So like that, yeah, in one sense it would have been better to have left his head burnt up in a sacrificial fire rather than bring him back and put a goat's head.
Well, this is
embarrassing.
the point that Daksha is making here. He's saying I was basically, first he's saying I was gliding down a kind of slippery slope to hell, and Prabhupada says which he was likely going to endure for a very long time. He was saying we're enough to heaven perpetually was the word Prabhupada used in the purport. So he was going to be, that was just by his mood and attitude of being so obnoxious and so proud and puffed up and everything. But Lord Shiva first saved him by cursing him and punishing him. So now he's saying that, he said, you saved me by awarding punishment. And of course that's the whole essence of the purport. Prabhupada's talking about the term punishment. And if we see the Lord's hand in any punishment that we may receive, then we would understand whatever that punishment is minute in comparison to what we should have gotten. So if he winds up with a goat's head, which may seem like a big deal, you know, or a heavy punishment, but actually, sorry, I'm making noise on the mic because it was flipping over. But actually, you know, he should have gotten a lot worse. I mean, maybe he would have had to take birth in a complete goat's body with a goat family and everything like that. Like, you know, Bharat Maharaj, which also, you know, he had to go backwards, and he was on the platform of at least, you know, Nishta. Some say he was on the platform of Bhava, and he still had to take birth as a deer, so like that.
All right, you want to read or
what?
Roll.
Read or roll? We've only been reading for like 10 minutes, maybe. Sounds like you're ready to roll. Let's read one more and be done, because I don't think I read, did I? 16. The great sage Maitreya said, thus being pardoned by Lord Shiva, King Daksha, with the permission of Lord Brahma, again began the performance of the yajna along with the great learned sages, the priests, and others. Text 17. Thereafter, in order to resume the activities of sacrifice, the brahmanas first arranged to purify the sacrificial arena of the contamination caused by the touch of Virabhadra and the other ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. Then they arranged to offer into the fire the oblations known as purudasha. Okay, it's a long purport, but not that long. So it's only one paragraph, but it's a heck of a paragraph. Stay tuned. Lord Shiva's followers and devotees headed by Virabhadra are known as Viras, and they are ghostly demons. Not only did they pollute the entire sacrificial arena by their very presence, but they disturbed the whole situation by passing, stool, and urine. Therefore, the infection they had created was to be first purified by the method of offering purudasha, oblations. A Vishnu yajna or an offering to Lord Vishnu cannot be performed uncleanly. To offer anything in an unclean state is called seva-aparad. The worship of the Vishnu deity in the temple is also Vishnu yajna. In all Vishnu temples, therefore, the priest who takes care of the archana vidhi must be very clean. Everything should always be kept neat and clean, and the foodstuffs should be prepared in a neat and clean manner. All these regulative principles are described in the Nectar of Devotion. There are 32 kinds of offenses in discharging Archana service. It is required, therefore, that one be extremely careful not to be unclean. Generally, whenever any ritualistic ceremony is begun, the holy name of Lord Vishnu is first chanted in order to purify the situation. Whether one is in a pure or impure condition, internally or externally, if one chants or even remembers the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, one immediately becomes purified. That's handy. The Yajna arena was desecrated by the presence of Lord Shiva's followers headed by Virabhadra, and therefore the entire arena had to be sanctified. Although Lord Shiva was present and he is auspicious, it was still necessary to sanctify the place because his followers had broken into the arena and committed so many obnoxious acts. Of course, he wasn't actually personally present when Virabhadra came. You heard that big splash out there. It's a big fish jumping out of the water. Or sea monster. The sanctification was possible only by chanting the holy name of Vishnu, Trikapala, which can sanctify the three worlds. In other words, it is admitted herein that the followers of Lord Shiva are generally unclean. They are not even very hygienic. They do not take baths regularly, they wear long hair, and they smoke ganja. Persons of such irregular habits are counted amongst the ghosts. I wonder if Prabhupada knows who he's referring to here, and I think he does. Since they were present in the sacrificial arena, the atmosphere became polluted, and it had to be sanctified by Trikapala oblations, which indicated the invocation of Vishnu's favor. Interesting. So a lot of information there. Main point that I took away was about cleanliness, the importance of cleanliness if you're a brahmana performing a yajna or a sacrifice, and also that before any sacrifice can be performed, there has to be cleanliness. Things should be neat and tidy and clean, and that even if you're hypothetically not clean internally or externally, if you chant the holy names of the Lord, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sarapashanti Surya Hariva Chaksharatam Tad Viprashova Panyavo Jangam Sasamindati Vishnu Hariya Param Param Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So if you chant these mantras before yajna, or you chant the names of the Lord by taking achaman, Om Keshavaya Namo, Om Narayana Namo, Om Madhavaya Namaha, you chant the names of Vishnu, then you become purified. Those are my thoughts. Any thoughts from your side? Apart from the fact that it is super hot.
It is super hot, to apologize.
She's kind of in the shade. I've realized I'm not.
But believe me, it's hot.
It's hot. Okay, so we're going to stop here. This one might be a little short, but please read the Srimad Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna, and be happy.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.